January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is, by definition, a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Bergquam.
Right up over this hill, we got an armed cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Let's feel good, doesn't it?
America's Voice Live starts now.
Welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Terrence Bates. I'm in for Steve Gruber today. It is Friday, February the 6th, 2026. Let's get right to today's top stories because there's a lot to take in. Iran and the United States held rare indirect talks in Oman regarding Tehran's nuclear program. Today's meetings come months after U.S. strikes and as current nationwide protests surge in Iran. So what's on the table, and could this open the door to a nuclear deal? We'll discuss. And later, as we get closer to the midterms, it's more important than ever for Republicans to show up and show out at the polls. So is that especially true in Texas, where the projections have the GOP potentially losing at least 5 more congressional seats? Are those projections actually on the money, or is it just a whole lot of hot air? We'll explore. Plus, heart disease is the #1 killer of veterans. Nearly half of those in VA care are living with the cardiovascular condition. We'll get to the heart of the matter and pump facts, not fear. All of that and so much more coming your way on today's show. So let's get started. First up, federal charges against more than 150 anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota signal a tougher federal response to demonstrations seeking to interfere with immigration enforcement. Prosecutors say offenses such as obstructing federal agents and violating the FACE Act go beyond protected protest and warrant serious penalties. The cases also underscore the importance of immigration enforcement itself. Federal officials argue that immigration laws passed by Congress must be carried out consistently, and agencies like ICE cannot do their jobs if operations are blocked or disrupted. Momentarily, we're going to get to South Carolina Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Ralph Norman. He, of course, will join us in short order. But there's other news coming out of Washington, D.C. as well, as President Trump's TrumpRx discount drug website is up and running now. It launched on Thursday. It offers patients a new option for buying discount prescription drugs, and you can do so with cash now instead of simply using your insurance. The site is a key part of President Trump's efforts to lower healthcare costs. The TrumpRx website features discounts that the administration has negotiated with drug companies like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, and others. While patients can't buy drugs directly from the site, it does link them to pharmaceutical companies' direct consumer purchasing platforms, or it also offers coupons that can be used at pharmacies. President Trump's Trump accounts for newborns and young children also continue to gain more private support this afternoon. The latest company to join the effort is Wall Street giant Citi. Citi says it will match the federal government's initial $1,000 seed money for its U.S.-based employees. Eligible accounts will be for kids who are born between January 1st of last year and December 31st of 2028. In its note to employees, Citi writes, and this is a quote, "These accounts are intended to promote long-term savings from a young age and provide children with investment assets that will grow over time. We're excited to play an active role in supporting the financial well-being of families across the United States," they say. All right, let's get you back over to Congressman Ralph Norman. I was talking about him earlier on. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. The congressman is seated and ready to go. Congressman, it's always good to see the favored son of Rock Hill, South Carolina. How are you, sir?
Always glad to be on your show and really enjoy what you're doing and glad to be with you.
Well, thank you so much. So let's talk about immigration enforcement. There has been some slight, if you will, criticism of the Trump administration in the fact that it has pulled 700 federal agents out of Minneapolis, and some say that it's going soft on immigration enforcement, specifically in Minneapolis, given what has happened. How do you assess the way the Trump administration is going about its continued enforcement?
Absolutely not. This president has been as much of a stalwart for getting criminals out of Minnesota, and he has been mistreated. The ICE agents have been mistreated. The residents of Minnesota have been mistreated because of what the politicians are advocating for, which is to defame our ICE agents, to attack them, to do everything possible to prevent them from doing their job. And so the president, I don't know what more he can do. Why the people of that state are not in an outrage over what Tim Walsh is doing and what the mayor has done to thwart law and order. I mean, it makes no sense. So the president, look at all of the other states that welcome getting criminals, pedophiles, molesters out of the community. And so, he's doing what he knows is right, and it's a big job, but it's made so much harder with the rhetoric coming from the left.
It seems to me that one of the challenges right now in curbing the current illegal immigration crisis that we had, it's about perception. In the videos of those two people having been killed in Minneapolis, all the protests, unfortunately, seems to have captured the hearts and minds of too many Americans, as opposed to the simple idea of justice and of law and order. Am I off base there?
Well, what they've had, and Kristi Noem has done a tremendous job to, again, let the ICE agents do their job. Now, the mainstream media will not put out the things that are going on, the arrest record, again, of known criminals with a record that are here illegally. And they're not, the media is, and I think a lot of it is their hatred of Donald Trump, which is so unfair. But, we had the assistant under Kristi Noem talk to our conservative opportunists, and they've tried every way possible to get the message out of what's happening in a good way. And yes, it's unfortunate, the 2 deaths, but, look what they're doing to law enforcement. The agents, look what kicking a taillight out of a car and attacking them. You just don't do that. Americans were brought up with respect for the police, respect for what they're doing, and it's just not happening and being advocated for by the politicians and the left-wing activists in that state.
So let's talk money. Your Democratic colleagues are calling for restrictions on ICE agents in Minneapolis, but in general as well, and they're holding up funding for the Department of Homeland Security as a result. How is that going? You and your colleagues only have about a week left before this current continuing resolution to fund DHS lapses. What are the conversations that are happening behind the scenes? How is that appropriations process going?
Well, I think they want to defund ICE. I think they want to, and they'll put at risk the whole department because they do so many other things, TSA, FEMA. And the fact that they want to take the 10 days to, from what I'm hearing, other than the body cams, which I think Kristi Noem and others are in favor of, to not let them go into houses, to take their mask off when they're being attacked. Our ICE agents have families too. And when they stop attacking those who are doing the job for the people, things would change, but it's just not. And so I think we're going to hit a brick wall at the end of the 10 days, and we'll see. We'll handle it and see what happens. And this is what President Trump wants. I trust his negotiating ability, but we're not going to take ICE and use them as pawns when they're only doing their job.
So what are the ultimate options? You mentioned that funding for so many other programs is also at stake, FEMA in particular. And let's just focus on FEMA. I know that your specific area, the Rock Hill, Charlotte area, dealing with massive snow, dealing with massive freezing ice. Obviously, your area potentially could use help from FEMA if it gets even worse. So that's got to be frightening even for your constituents, I would think.
Well, it's frightening, but look at what they did before, Terrence. Look at what they did on the 43-day shutdown when children went without SNAP benefits. But right. This Marxist Socialist Party is willing to put the well-being of the country in a box and not fund them to try to get their way. And what about the $9 billion that's missing out of the Treasury of Minnesota? They want to bury all that. Where's that publicity? And so, we'll see how it works out. my suspicions are they're going to drag it out and try to basically make them so they can't do the job, which we're not going to go along in the House. I don't think any Republican will side with Democrats on that. And I think it's up to them to determine if they want to shut it down, then I guess they'll have to do it.
The good news is that you and your Republican colleagues can walk and chew gum at the same time, which brings me to the Save America Act. That's also an issue, a piece of legislation that you and many of your colleagues are working on. What do you think is ultimately going to come of that? Does it have enough support in your mind to move forward? Let's not even talk about the Senate. I realize that's a different animal, but let's just get it out of the House. Your thoughts?
Well, we voted on it before in the House. We passed it, and the Save America Act will come up again with some changes, like from what I'm hearing, the photo ID that they'll have to present, which is common sense. To even have this delay with the Senate is unfathomable. But I'm on the Rules Committee. When I hear it will come back up next week. We'll take it up with the changes. We'll pass it. I think it'll pass on the House floor. And again, we can only do so much as a House. The Senate has got to go along, but now's the time for them to act, and this should not even be an issue.
No, agreed. Before I let you go, we got to talk about your campaign for South Carolina governor. How are things going? And come on, I know you're going to miss the House. I know you want to come home, but you're going to miss the House. Come on, you can't get this sort of publicity back home in Columbia.
Well, I enjoyed. I was so grateful for what the 5th District did for me, and I just see a real need in as governor. The states are where a lot of the changes are going to have to be made, and as I tell people, in November, each state will have a marriage with the CEO for really not 4 years, but 8 years. We got to have a true conservative. We got to have somebody that's got a record. We got to have somebody that's going to recruit conservatives all over the country. I will do that, and I'll make South Carolina great again.
And what are some of the major issues that you see affecting South Carolina? I would imagine that similar to some of the national issues, the affordability crisis is probably front and center.
Yeah, but it's even more serious. Affordability is a big issue, but our roads and our bridges are collapsing. Our judicial system, we've got to let judges, we cannot have politicians, trial lawyers picking our judges. That's like letting Clemson and Carolina pick their own referees. We're going to change that when I'm governor. Our education system should not rank last in this country. So those are the main things. Term limits, I've always put it up in when I was in Congress. I'm going to put it up when I get to be governor. People should not live on government. Let them come home and live under some of these rules that they're making. So we got a structural change that we're going to have to make. I will lead the charge on that.
Congressman Norman, it's always good to talk to you. Stay warm there in a very chilly South Carolina, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Fred. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. All right, folks, before we go to break, we want to pass along some exciting news from Real America's Voice, or Real America's Music, excuse me. A new release titled The Boss by Natasha Owens is a patriotic response to Bruce Springsteen's recent song attacking ICE and immigration enforcement. Here's a sneak peek as we head into break.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. A look at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here. Earlier today, Iran and the United States held indirect talks in Oman over Tehran's nuclear program. The talks come just months after the U.S. bombed Iran's uranium enrichment sites, and also on the heels of nationwide protests that captured the attention of President Trump as well as the rest of the world. Iran's top diplomat calls the discussions today a very positive opening, even though the delegations did not meet jointly and instead held separate sessions with Oman's foreign minister as an intermediary. The conversations were reportedly limited in scope and centered largely on whether the sides could agree on a framework for additional talks. It's still unclear what terms Iran is prepared to negotiate, but in the meantime, Tehran insists the talks will focus solely on its nuclear program. Reports out there, though, show that Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar have proposed a deal in which Iran would pause uranium enrichment for 3 years. The deal would also supposedly include provisions for the Islamic State to pledge not to initiate the use of ballistic missiles. Joining me now to discuss is scholar, speaker, and author, Dr. Steve Turley. Steve, good to see you. Welcome.
Thanks, Terrence. Great to be with you. Man, if there were ever two nations that hated each other, I mean, it's the United States and Iran. Boy, they can't even be in the same room together.
No, absolutely. And so for that very reason, I'm going to cut right to the chase. Is there really negotiation going on, or is this Iran simply stalling?
You did go straight for the heart of it, didn't you?
Let's just go there.
We're going to have to find that out. They just have no cards in this at all. They just have no basis to really negotiate. Bottom line, the Trump administration is making 4 demands of Iran. The Trump administration's core demand is a no nuclear weapons program, right? Period, end of discussion. They have to completely dismantle their enrichment capabilities that were radically damaged up to 60% by the June bombing. They secondly have to constrain ballistic ballistic missiles, as you mentioned, and they see that the Trump administration sees that as very much linked to it's inseparable to the nuclear threat. They have to end sponsorship of terrorist proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, and then fourthly, they got to stop brutalizing their own people. So that's their 4 demands. And while the talks have thus far been, it appears to have been limited solely to the nuclear weapons, and I think that's largely because that's going to be the one that takes the longest to rebuild. They're already putting their scuds back together, the long-range missiles and so on. The key question going forward is whether or not this is going to be able to. They're going to be able to arrange a genuine framework for negotiation, or is it just a stalling tactic? Unfortunately, I happen to think it's the latter. I think they're trying to wait Trump out. The 3 years is not interesting. That's not a coincidence. They're trying to wait him out. And in the meantime, they're just trying to survive this massive uprising that's going on, which I do think is part of Trump's strategy, this dual track squeeze of internal and external pressure.
All right, I hear you, Doc. All sounds good. It makes sense. But at some point, the rubber's got to hit the road. And does the rubber hitting the road mean that the Trump administration is going to ultimately have to attack again? Is that what it's going to take? I hate to be kind of that fatalistic, but I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, well, the armada that's out there is pretty formidable, that's for sure. Well, it is part of the dual track squeeze, right? So you've got this massive internal instability that's happening. It's the single worst crisis the Islamic Republic has faced since coming to power in 1979. They're in an economic free fall, as you know. I don't know if you know this stat, Terrence. I came across this. The rial, the Iranian currency, has lost 20,000% of its value since 1979. I mean, it's literally teetering on a failed state. They're in the midst of a water crisis. 90% of their water reserves are gone. The Bazari, that's the merchant class, which carries inordinate economic influence Iran. They've turned against the mullahs. They want the mullahs gone. So this is the single most serious internal problem that they've ever had in 4 decades. But then they've got the external problem. And the external problem is the massive, formidable fleet of U.S. warships in the region. And Trump is, he's made it clear. And I think Nicolas Maduro in that New York City jail cell makes it clear that he is willing to use force if he needs to. He will talk, but he that big stick he carries, he will crack down on it. Now, again, there's some concern here among pollsters that are very sympathetic to Trump that this might hurt his polling. We don't want Bush 2.0. We are very nervous about bombing the Middle East. I got you, no question. But Trump, I think, sees this. He sees the Iranian regime very much like he sees the Cuban regime. He sees it just as a hangover from the old Cold War days. The people don't want it. We don't want it. And the regional powers increasingly don't want it. So he may do what he needs to do to weaken them so much that the uprising finally is decisive.
All right, so I'm going to veer very far right. I know this is probably an unconventional question, but I'm curious to get your take. What, if anything, can President Trump do to potentially leverage other actors within that particular region? I'm thinking of the Egyptians, the Turks, the Qataris. What can he do to leverage them to get them more involved, to get them more buy-in to do something about Iran? Because right now, it seems like everyone is waiting on the United States to do something. While everyone has input, nobody wants to input.
Yeah, they're all a little nervous right now, just given the instability of it. I mean, Iran and Saudi Arabia, ironically, a couple of years ago, China helped broker a rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia, Iran being Shiite, Saudi Arabia being Sunni. They had been pretty much enemies for the last few decades. That seemed like it was an agreement that had some real strength to it, a re-alliance between the two powers. And Mohammed bin Salman might have some real sway there with the Ayatollah and with the regime in trying to at least provide some kind of economic guarantees for them to help them out with their issues going on internally, as well as providing perhaps somewhat of a sponsor of the integrity of them agreeing to lay down their nuclear ambitions. It's just, Terrence, it's just so hard because without that nuclear program, just Iran's got nothing. I mean, even their ballistic missile program has been decimated. We saw it. They're a paper tiger. They've got nothing. So it's the nuclear program that gives them the one piece of leverage they're missing.
And it's time for that paper tiger to fold. I think the rest of the world is tired of Iran right now and just ready to move on. But it is what it is. Dr. Turley, appreciate your time. Such a good conversation. I could go 30 more minutes, but unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Terrence.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. All right, folks, it's just about time for a break. But first, if you haven't heard the news yet, Real America's Voice has officially landed on Prime Video, giving viewers just like you access to live RAV programming, which includes shows like War Room, The Charlie Kirk Show, Bowling, and so much more. Real America's Voice has been expanding rapidly over the last few years and expanding our reporting of honest, America First news. So join the movement and be sure to check out Real America's Voice on Prime Video. Go there right now if you want to. All right, more America's Voice Live coming your way after this break.
This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive pre-coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett, artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy. It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/RAV to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Our nation's capital, it really is a beautiful city. That's the Washington Monument there. While Congress has about a week left to hash out funding for the Department of Homeland Security and by extension ICE, Republican lawmakers are continuing to push to make your neighborhood safer. Real America's Voice congressional correspondent Benny Ray Harmony discussed that very issue with Florida Congresswoman Kat Cammack.
How can we be deterrent to stop the trafficking of drugs and individuals into the United States? On the back end, cleaning up Biden's mess, we saw millions and millions of illegals cross over, many of whom had criminal records. But what has been absolutely crazy to me is that we have been hearing stories all around the United States in cities and departments that you have sworn officers that are non-citizens. They are illegals. They are carrying guns and they are tasked with upholding the law. Now, I don't know about you, but as a citizen, I find it pretty scary that an illegal has arresting authority over me. And so we have introduced the COP Act, Citizens Only Police, and we are pushing for that to hit the floor because no illegal should be in law enforcement. You broke the law, you shouldn't be tasked with upholding it then.
How are you guys combating that border crisis here in Congress?
Well, certainly President Trump has locked the border down. He has taken it from an extreme high to record lows. And I can't say enough good about what President Trump has done in securing the border and trying to stop that flow. But as we know, these cartels, these narco-terrorist cells, they are incredibly creative. So we know that the drugs are landing in cities all around America. Every town in America has become a border town thanks to Joe Biden. In my own district, we had bricks of fentanyl with the stamp of border cartels that were found, and enough fentanyl in one brick was enough to kill everyone in my particular county 10 times over. That is how incredibly pervasive this issue is and how it has impacted every single American across the country. You have, at one point in time, 100,000 Americans that were being poisoned to death by fentanyl. Now, that equates out to about 300 a day. Imagine an airliner dropping out of the sky every day. There would have been flights grounded by the end of the week. There would have been a task force to figure out what's going on. But because this was deliberate, there was an open border policy by the Biden administration. They wanted to look the other way. And as a result, Americans died. We have to address the magnets, right? The narco-terrorism networks, they are fueled by both the drug sales and the benefits and profits that come with that, but they're also engaged in the human trafficking element. And so we have to cut off the magnets that are drawing people to the United States. All the freebies, all the things that people are saying, listen, this is what we're going to go to the United States and we're hearing that we're going to get all this free crap. And it's true, under the Biden administration, there was a system set up for that. But we also need to put in place the systems that will support people who are dealing with addiction. We have to tackle a lot of these elements that are really pushing the drug trade. I think Snapchat is a huge part of kids getting a hold of drugs. That is something that we know to be true. So we have so many things that we've got to block and tackle, but it is a process, and we're fully engaged.
That was RAV congressional correspondent Benny Ray Harmony talking with Florida Congresswoman Kat Cammack. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the 2026 midterm elections and the importance of maintaining as many red seats in Congress as possible, especially in the great state of Texas. Details right after the break.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. Always good to have you along for the ride. As the midterms inch closer, the stakes get much higher and concern about maintaining and even growing the current GOP majority in Congress is rising. Texas is of particular concern, particularly following the recent loss of a state Senate seat in Fort Worth in a district that President Trump won handily. Texas, by the way, is the source of many red seats in Congress. With new voting maps in place, the expectation is that Texas will hold serve, if not add seats. But given what has happened, it is a big but. Joining me now to discuss is political strategist and chairman of Nevada Young Republicans, Woodrow Johnston. Woodrow, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Terrence.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this conversation. So let's start with that Fort Worth State Senate seat in Texas. I think most of us are still scratching our heads trying to figure out what went wrong. Is that a sign of what may be to come in November there in Texas?
Well, I think it's important that Republicans don't get complacent. Special elections are always kind of tend to swing the other way. That's just, and it's because Republicans are happy. We just got the presidency back after, 4 years of Joe Biden destroying this country. But Republicans need to realize everywhere that the job's not done.
You were telling me earlier that you're an honorary Texan. So in your experience, has this lit a fire, if you will, under Texas Republicans to really be on message and to be on their game?
Absolutely. I think we're going to gain seats in Texas. Especially because redistricting has gone our way. And we're going to see, at least 5. I think we're going to net 5 seats out of Texas. But we all have to do the work. So I'm calling on my colleagues in Texas, please, knock doors, make calls, write checks.
Candidates are one thing, platform is a different. Let's start with platform. What does the platform need to be? What do the talking points need to be for Texas Republicans to win?
Well, I think when you get into platforms, you start getting into arguments over minutia. We all want the same thing. We all want to live in a more safe and prosperous country. And the fact of the matter is there's one side that's mutilating children. That's one side that is against law enforcement. And then there's sane people.
Okay, and I would imagine the same people would be the Republicans. But the reality is there are issues they've got to address, and you've got to come with a plan. Voters want to hear plans for keeping communities safe. In Texas, they're going to want to hear a plan for keeping illegal immigrants out, for making sure that illegal immigrants aren't coming across the border, going into farmlands and terrorizing those farmers along the border. All of those, I would imagine, have got to be key issues that Republicans in Texas have got to address and come with a plan.
Absolutely. And I think, primaries are so important. It's so important that we not only elect Republicans, but elect Republicans who have conservative values, who stand with the president's agenda, who put America first and aren't just going to be Democrat light. because that doesn't inspire voters. The truth is the moderates are not the pragmatic wing of the party. It's pragmatic to be conservative. It's pragmatic to have principles.
I'm glad you brought up the primary and candidates, because that's also going to win. You've got to have truly conservative candidates, not candidates who simply are trying to get on President Trump's coattails and thinking that that alone is going to carry them to victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to have candidates that actually want to secure the border, who actually want to support our police, who support life, who don't want, it's shocking how many Republicans that seem to just kind of, even though it's a very small amount, but even I run into candidates who think we shouldn't run on the fact that Democrats want to mutilate our children and put men in girls' locker rooms.
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue that parents absolutely are feeling and talking about on a daily basis. Woodrow Johnson, appreciate your time. What a great conversation. Fun to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Terrence.
All right, we'll talk soon. Well, international disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons why gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years, There's also a never-ending list of reasons why smart Americans are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals with the Birch Gold Group. More than any other commodity on Earth, gold thrives during times of uncertainty, and that's why it's a crucial part of a balanced investment strategy. It gives you peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. So see if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is the right thing for you. The Birch Gold Group can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into an IRA in gold. All you have to do is text the word America to the number 989898 and receive your free information kit on gold. There's no obligation here, just useful information. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of satisfied customers, allow the Birch Gold Group to help you diversify with gold so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty around you. Text the word America to the number 989898. Again, text America to the number 989898. Coming up after this short break, heart disease is the #1 killer of veterans, and nearly half of those in VA care are living with a cardiovascular condition. The VA says it's providing care, but is it doing enough? We'll talk with an expert next.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner Furst has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. February is American Heart Month, and for U.S. veterans, the stakes couldn't be higher. Nearly half of veterans receiving VA care have at least one diagnosed cardiovascular condition, making heart disease a persistent and deadly threat. It's already the leading cause of death among veterans, compounded by service-related stress, trauma, and combat exposure that VA researchers link to higher heart disease risk. While the VA offers screenings and cardiac care, the question remains whether the system is fully embracing innovative technologies and proactive solutions that are needed to better protect those who serve. Joining me now to discuss is retired United States Marine Corps Major and the CEO of Lovell Government Services, Chris Lovell. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Terrence. Great. Thanks for having me on.
So let me just start here. Having spoken with a number of veterans, one of their major gripes tends to be the time that it takes to get in to see a specialist for something like cardiac or cardiovascular care. Is that one of your biggest gripes? Is that something that you also hear from other veterans?
You know, Terrence, that is a concern. It comes up from time to time. I think it's isolated in some VAs, but I can tell you, I met with the Secretary of the VA, Doug Collins, 2 weeks ago, and he and his staff are laser focused on ensuring veterans get the great care, as fast as possible, right? With the latest, the greatest technology that healthcare industry has to offer. And so I know they're doing that. Yeah, are there some instances? Absolutely. And that's where the veterans just need to reach out to their veteran advocacy groups to let them know there's a concern. But by and large, from what I'm seeing, we take care of thousands of veterans every week. All over the country. And I can tell you that the VA is just fully engaged in ensuring those veterans get the best and world-class care always. So is this idea of a lapse in technology when it comes to cardiovascular issues specifically, is that real or is that just perception? It's I want to say that's perception, Terrence. From where I sit, I see what the VA is buying. Lovell Government Services is the distributor. We partner with over 200 of the leading healthcare companies that make medical devices, for both surgery and non-scripted care. And one of those devices that the VA early on embraced is called Inari Medical. And Inari Medical is a mechanical thrombectomy device. What is that? What is mechanical thrombectomy? Well, it's basically a catheter that goes in and it can pull these clots that are considered pulmonary embolisms that can be deadly, right? A lot of times they are. And they're using them daily in the VA to save and improve the quality of lives of veterans always. So, Chris, it sounds to me that there's a disconnect then. As I've been listening to you, very informative, but it sounds to me like there's a disconnect when it comes to the service that the VA is actually providing and the perception of that service. Sure. It's going to vary by you can't you can't force someone to have a certain opinion, right? Everyone's going to have their own opinion of care. But by and large, I can tell you that the VA is very responsive. We talk to, like I said, thousands of veterans every week. They're getting great care. Are there some instances where it could be better? Sure, absolutely. And the VA is working on that. And there's things to do. But the VA offers a comprehensive spectrum of services to address cardiovascular health and cardiovascular diseases. And I would say for any veteran that's concerned or feels like they're not getting the care they need, really just approach your primary care in the VA. That's your number one person to go to. Talk to your primary care, let them know where you are, what you need, and if you feel like you're not getting the services you need, that's the person to address those issues with. And to bring this conversation full circle, is there a difference in terms of the cardiovascular health of, say, a veteran compared to the regular society? Are the numbers different, or do the numbers pretty much mirror each other? Terrence, that's a great question. It's startling, actually. The general population, about 36%, 37% of the general population has some form of diagnosed cardiovascular disease, and that could be high blood pressure, hypertension, right? Or it could be some type of lipid disorder, you're a bad cholesterol. But the VA, in comparison, it's 1 in 2. It's 50% of all veterans have some diagnosed form of cardiovascular disease. And for those veterans that served in combat, it's actually 33% higher in those vets. And so, but the VA offers an amazing program to address these chronic illnesses and help these veterans live a longer, healthy life.
I'm not a doctor, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, so I would imagine that a lot of that's attributable to the stress of combat and to the stress of serving, which, let's just be honest, it's a different sort of stress than most of us deal with on a daily basis.
Absolutely, it is. And these veterans sign up, to serve their country. They're great patriots, and the VA healthcare system is set up to ensure that, when they fulfill their promise to serve, the VA's there to help them out as they transition into their, post-service life and help them with whatever health issues they have. And as a happy VA patient, I can say that those statements are absolutely true.
All right, Chris, we'll have to leave the conversation there. Enjoy your weekend, my friend. Good to talk to you. I appreciate your time.
Same here, Terrence. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll talk soon. After the break, we're going to have a story that reminds us of just how wonderful America is. Plus, we'll have your answers to our America's Voice question of the day. Here it is. What artist are you most excited to see perform at TPUSA's All-American Halftime Show? We also want to know why. Looking forward to your comments.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
We're back with What Makes America Wonderful. We do this story every single day with the hope of putting a smile on your face. Today's story comes to us from Silver Spring, Maryland, where two young teenagers brought their neighborhood together after a difficult ice storm left much of their mid-Atlantic neighborhood iced over. The two local teenagers decided to turn the cold into something uplifting. Again, all of this happened in Silver Spring, Maryland. The friends began crafting an igloo in front of a home that had been destroyed by fire just months earlier. Not just a winter project, though. This was a symbol of unity and hope. With dozens of ice bricks carved by hand and hauled across the yard on a sled, the girls worked through the fading daylight, even continuing under headlamps once the sun went down. Their families pitched in and parents helped position the blocks and even captured photos and videos as the structure took shape. They didn't stop at walls, though. Ice chairs and a table were also built inside, creating a cozy place for neighbors to gather. A guest book invited visitors to leave messages, and notes poured in with warm reflections, childhood memories, and appreciation for the girls' effort. What began as teamwork between two teenage friends quickly became a community hub, bringing families together, and smiles and conversation ensued as a connection to an otherwise tough, icy week. And that, my friends, certainly reminds us of what makes America so wonderful. All right, let's get to our question of the day now. I know you've been waiting for it, and we appreciate those of you who chimed in. Here's the question. What artists are you most excited to see perform at TPUSA's All-American Halftime Show? Tony Brown, loving, we appreciate you chiming in. Tony writes, oh, gee, now that would be every single one of them. Can't wait, and I assure you I will probably be jumping down the whole halftime. Okay. Appreciate that. Cindy Summers writes, Kid Rock, first, but they all are great. She's looking forward to seeing Kid Rock. Yeah, he's going to put on a show for sure. Mitchell Bryan, we appreciate you chiming in as well. Mitchell writes, all of them, but I'm partial to Brantley Gilbert, country music star out there. That's going to be pretty cool. And Lisa Richard writes, I love the Patriot Kid Rock, but all that performs in this great TP event are all patriots. Lisa Latia writes, it doesn't matter. I'm excited to see artists who love this country and sing about it. And I think a lot of people are also excited just that there's an alternative to the traditional Super Bowl halftime show. This is obviously an alternative, and it's going to be lots of fun for those of you who tune in. Karen Kane Thomas, thank you for letting us know what you think. You say every one of them. Definitely looking forward to that. Deborah Fowl writing, Kid Rock, because I'm a Michigander. Kid Rock, of course, famously from Michigan, one of Michigan's favorite sons, as are so many other musicians, but he will be headlining the show. And Debbie Caesar writes, Debbie Caesar writes, Kid Rock puts on an amazing show. There you go, that's the right one. Gwen Parisian Waldron writes, all of them are very talented. However, I'm excited to hear Kid Rock sing a remake of a popular country song with his own twist and added verse that he wrote. Looking forward to that as well. I'm not so sure I know that song, but I'll be tuned in to see what it is. Mike McLaughlin, shout out to you. We appreciate you chiming in, writing any artist who would proudly participate for US. God bless them all. God bless America. Thanks again to each of you who chimed in. Thanks to all of your thoughts. We truly appreciate it. And thanks to you for tuning in as well. Always good to have you along for the ride. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thanks for tuning into America's Voice Live. We'll see you back here, same time, same bat channel as we used to say back in the day, on AVL on Monday. Take care.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would we trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.